This is The Witcher on TV Podcast Industries. We're back for the finale of The Witcher Blood Origin, episode 4 of Mages, Malice and Monstrous Mayhem.
Everything that you've heard is true. I had Alvatir killed. And your family. All of Dog Clan. I knew everyone that I loved would die, and I said yes. Without a second breath. I was going to be a footnote in someone else's story. I was a fertile thing to be traded. I was unseen, Fial.
No. I saw you.
Welcome back again, fellow Witchers, to our coverage of The Witcher Blood Origin. We're on to the finale of this 4-episode mini-series from The Witcher Blood Origin. This one is called Of Mages, Malice and Monstrous Mayhem, and I'm one of your hosts, Derek.
Hello there, fellow Witchers. I am one of your festive hosts, John.
And ringing out the holiday cheer, I am Chris.
Excellent. Back for the finale of the show.
Yes. Yeah. This limited series, mini-series. Yeah. I'm hoping maybe it's just the part 1. Maybe we get a part 2.
Yeah, maybe. We'll get into it. We're going to be talking spoiler-filled all about this episode, of course, as we go in, so make sure you've watched all 4 episodes, but I'm sure we'll talk about the ending and where all of our characters end up at the end of this episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But Derek, as we get into our spoiler-filled discussion of episode 4, what are some of the episode details?
Well, again, episode 4 and the show itself is based on the book series by Andrzej Sapkowski and the game series from CD Projekt Red, although not based on a specific book. This is all an original concept coming from showrunner Declan Barra and executive producer Lauren Schmidt-Hissrich. This episode directed again by Sarah O'Gorman, and this episode written by showrunner Declan Barra and Tasha Ho. This is Tasha's first writing credit, but she has credits for a possible Tomb Raider TV show, interestingly, and an upcoming Red Sonja movie.
Interesting.
I've heard about the Red Sonja movie. I'd never heard that there was a possibility of a TV show of Tomb Raider.
Yeah, I think these are the Amazon ones, right?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
Because Amazon also just bought the rights to publish the new Tomb Raider games.
Maybe that's
with Crystal Dynamics. But I do know there was a TV show in the works based on the more recent films.
Oh, interesting. Because I did a bit of a search on IMDb when I saw this credit, and interestingly, they're showing Hayley Atwell starring as Lara Croft.
What?
I can see that.
So not Alicia Vikander.
Yeah, but I can see that.
I can definitely see it. Hayley Atwell pretty much could turn her hand to anything and I'd watch it, to be honest, because I love it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Would be kind of cool. Anyway, she's not the writer of this episode. That is Declan Barra and Tasha. John, do you want to tell us what they gave us with their synopsis for The Witcher Blood Origin, episode 4 of Mages, Malice and Monstrous Mayhem?
Sure. After the deal between Balor and Merwyn, Balor and his apprentice Fenrick head with Captain Eredin and his scouting party to gather information so as to begin the conquest of other lands through the veil between worlds. Travelling through the portal created by Balor, he realises the true sacrifice he must make to obtain chaos magic. Killing Kendrick, the chaos magic flows through and into Balor, who uses it to send Eredin and his men to another unknown world of fire for eternity. Entering through the gates of Xin'trea, disguised as the royal army, the Seven split up to complete their mission. As the Lark rallies the lowborn of Xin'trea to rise up against their overlords, Skion takes Fial to Queen Meryn, so Fial may kill Balor's beast, and she may reclaim her tribe's sword. But Meryn renounces her deal, and has Skion taken away to be executed. Empress Merwyn tells Fial that everything she had done to secure her position was necessary, which sends Fial into a Witcher rage. While Merwyn escapes to her room, her royal guards are killed, and he focuses his attention on the beast. After killing her captors, Skion lets the others into the palace, While the mages Sindril and Zakir head to destroy the Master Monolith, Skion, Brother Death, and Meldoff defend their position to allow Ayla to confront and kill Merwyn with a knife to her stomach in front of her rebelling populace. Battling the beast, Viol's rage transforms him further to increase his strength and to allow him to kill the flying beast. But the dark magic coursing through him makes him turn on his fellow companions, taking the eye of Brother Death. Only Ayla's singing calms him enough for her to kill him with her blade. Meanwhile, on reaching the monolith, Sindril and Zakir are caught by Balor, returning from the other world. Pinned down by Balor's new magic, Sindril uses Zakir's binding powers to combine his magic with Balor's chaos magic, destroying the monolith and killing Sindril in the process. The shattering of the monolith releases a great surge of energy that brings down the veil between worlds and starts the convergence of the spheres. In the aftermath of the convergence, the continent is transformed with the arrival of men on its shores. So too is Ayla, who is pregnant with her and Fial's child. With the story of the Seven told, the timeless entity abandons Jaskier, and his reality becomes the battlefield between humans and elves. Finally, in a mid-credit scene, Merwyn's mage, having discovered that the monoliths can be used to travel through time, watches on as a young Ciri plays with her young friends in Xin'trea.
All tied up in a nice neat little bow, isn't it?
Yeah, it was very Return of the King ending here. Lots of little bits, just kind of tying things up to some extent, for sure. Yeah. But yeah, so it's always a nightmare trying to do a synopsis on the basis of about 1,000 different threads being suddenly hurled at you right at the end.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Literally in the last 4 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. It was just like, and in case you've forgotten, this is the result of this. I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But good to get to the end of the story and close out this time with our characters. You know, this came out as 4 episodes. I would say most viewers of The Witcher Blood Origins have watched all 4 episodes back to back. You know, it's an easy old watch. Over the course of those 4 episodes, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think for episode 1 is the longest at 50 something. I think most of them range around 42 to 44.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, so instead of watching the Porridge Christmas special like we have on BBC every year, we can actually watch some new content on Christmas Day. So, yeah.
Well, you may have.
Well, one of those things.
I certainly wouldn't be doing that.
One of those things, or the 500th repeat of Morecambe and Wise's Christmas special from the 70s. You know, that's all standards in our homes at Christmas when there's nothing new to watch. So.
Sure,
I don't know
Mrs.
what
Bucket,
he's talking
Mrs.
about.
Bucket in the corner here with her very English and proper Christmas dinner.
That's pretty standard in most people's homes, Chris. I'd say that. Always has been.
Sure.
But,
okay.
And especially with no Doctor Who this year, it's nice to have some fantasy at Christmas as well.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Exactly.
Although I don't think we will be rolling this out for the in-laws, shall we say?
Probably not. But we hope you did enjoy your holiday break, fellow Witchers. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you've enjoyed spending some time with us at this time of the year with some brand new content as well. Let's get into our big moments from episode 4. Chris, do you want to kick us off with your big moment from the 4th episode of The Witcher Blood Origin?
Sure. I'm going to take Fial and the overall battle with the monster and kind of his descent into demon form, and his eventual death. It was interesting to see that, like, throughout this episode, beginning slightly towards kind of the end of episode 3, we do see him struggle to keep this inner beast, demon, kind of the monstrosity, the monster in, and keeping the darkness that we do see kind of like Geralt and other witches take. They take the kind of elixir and their eyes go black and they channel their inner monster. Here we see the first Witcher, or the blood of the Witchers, really kind of taking control more. And for me, like, the beginning of that is when he's in there with Merwyn and he just starts that maniacal cackle laugh that's starts as a sob, and you could see it, and it just gets, again, the acting chops here on display are fun. It's you could easily just do this as a, I was going to say Christopher Lambert in The Highlander.
Let's look for a reference that some of our listeners might have actually seen, Chris. Yes.
Yes. So more like Sean Connery in The Highlander, where he plays the Spaniard who's actually an Egyptian in a Scottish accent. Because
so you could have done it terribly, is what you're saying.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But it was really good seeing him slowly, like, just snap the chains and bulge and really kind of take on that darkness. And I think some of it was, they kind of over CG'd parts of it. Okay. That would be my only thing, was he kind of starts the clicking of the neck and all that kind of like slowly starting to bulge.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I love the kind of transformation. It felt really Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of look about it, where he was transforming, his arms were getting huge muscles on them and stuff, and just because they're doing the fast cut of the transformation, it looks really monstrous in itself.
Yeah,
you know,
it looks Resident Evil-y a bit
with
the quickness. that jarring sort of snapping.
Yeah.
Although, just before you completely point there, Chris, as well, it's just like, I loved Merwyn's expression, because she's like, "You're supposed to be the father of my child."
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, he's going kind of like all ragey in front of her.
Yeah.
So it's also going quite grey.
Yeah.
It's like, what happened to your colour? I agree. The fast cut looks cool. I think it was just also slightly a bit more, when you say Resident Evil, it's like, for me, it was Resident Evil 4 versus Resident Evil 1. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I like that he then battles the monstrosity. The only concern I have, which is, there's no, I was expecting, because there is a few battles with the different swords. He uses a number of different weapons, I should say. There was no mention of the silver. Because in Witcher lore, there are two swords. There's the normal sword, your steel sword, for your men and everything else, and then you must use a silver sword for the monstrosities.
Right. So
I was expecting, like, one of the swords to be called out, or like something is like, oh, we hit him with, like, he gets whatever, like he gets 4 different cuts, and there's only the cut from the silver sword that actually does damage, proper damage, and that's where he kind of, they call it out, and you have to. I was expecting a bit more of that, because this is the origin of the monsters in this world.
Right.
It's interesting you say that, because I was, it kind of, because we hear that Sindral dies in this, and he's the one doing up the elixir, and it's kind of, what I kind of like about this Witcher is, certainly because he does transform at the end, as you say, he goes grey and so on, but also just the one arm's longer than the other and all that kind of stuff. It feels very prototypey, you know, so I hope Sindral gave the recipe, you know, so that they could sort of refine it or something. But it seems like, you know, obviously 1,000 years has passed, so that there is possible refinement of this elixir or something that just sort of helps. And to your point around the silver sword or the silver weapon, that they realize it has to be silver, that maybe they just, you know, lucky coincidence that he uses a sword at the start, just where he kind of does the Achilles tendon on the monster, but that because he uses the massive
silver sculpture,
statue sword, that's silver because it's ornamental. Yeah. But he just doesn't know that, I guess.
Well, exactly. And I think, you know, to your point, remember the backstory that we've heard of The Witcher so far in the animated movie and in season 2 particularly. They do a lot of stuff by trial and error, and a lot of it is error and pain that they go through to recreate a witcher every time. Only a certain number of the children that are experimented on survive and become witchers and survive through the process. So had Sindral stayed alive and written out, this is the steps that you take, maybe a lot of people wouldn't have died over the 1200 years between now and the time of Geralt, you know? But also, I always got the sense with the Witchers that it's passed down knowledge of how you defeat certain beasts. There's certain members of the Witchers that have killed hundreds of beasts, but there's certain ones that died on their first attempt of killing a beast because they used the wrong method. There was a whole, almost a joke with one of the Witchers, I think, in season 2, who had something like 30 attempts at beating the beast because he hadn't followed the rules that had been laid down. He was trying to kill it with a way that you can't kill the beast, and everybody was laughing at him for spending so much time when it only took 30 minutes for another Witcher who knew the trick. So it does feel like that this is a, as you say, a prototype version of the Witcher, and there would have been an occasion here for a creation of the great book of the Witchers, and this is how you do it, and could have saved a lot of lives and could have had a better history, but unfortunately it was in the middle of a big, massive battle.
Exactly. So, certainly because with the whole convergence thing, you know, we see that men are finally reached the shores, but I'm guessing a lot of monsters do as well.
So we do see that, because on the notice board there's 4 different notice boards with help needed.
Absolutely.
But back to Fionn, for me it was cool. Like, the final battle was fun. We get that beautiful song again, which is very Hulk and Black Widow-esque. The calm down of the beast. Sun's getting real low. Very much akin to that. But good to see. It was a shame to see him die. I was hoping to see more. I think like holding the beat, like some form of kind of, they chain him down and they work to fix him and bring him somewhat back, and that's how, like, the next steps, like, he was more beast than man, and they experiment on him to bring him back to be more man. That's how you get a season. No, but it was just sad to see that kind of character killed off.
It was, because we've spent so much time with this character throughout the season, and he is a really good character. You know, we spent so much time with Geralt throughout the 2 seasons of the show, and he's so central to it. Having him killed off in an episode would feel similar. But I think
what's going to happen next season?
Well, no, Geralt is still going to be there, just not Henry Cavill, unfortunately. But no, Lawrence Safaron has done such a good job as this character of Fionn, and him stepping up to be this more evil, bestial version of the character in this final episode, I think worked really, really well.
Absolutely. I mean, I think you're right. It was sad to see him killed, because in a sense it feels like there's a line broken with Sindral. Also, you know, we hear that he has died in his mission to shatter the monolith. So you kind of like, I guess Zakir knows that elixir potion recipe. Yeah. But nonetheless, in terms of like the death of Fionn, whilst it would have been great to have seen him in other stuff, because although, like you say, totally agree, really good. I've enjoyed him in this role. I thought the end was really superb. I thought it was really fitting. Just, you know, that he's unable to control the monster that is coursing through his veins. Yeah. And again, you get Ayla's music, the song, the tune, her voice, that's able to calm him. But even then, he goes for her throat, you know. And so, you know, like a good Girl Guide or Boy Scout, she's there with the knife in. I just thought that was really, in a sense, poetic, I thought.
For our wonderful listeners, are going to have to ask you to explain why a girl guide would knife a beast.
I'm just.
Do you just mean that she's prepared?
Yeah, be prepared. Okay, I know that's scouts, I guess, but
dip dip dub dub.
Yeah, but it just sounded a bit odd that just like any girl guide, she's there with a knife to stab you with the guts.
She got a knifing badge, you know, knifing monsters badge. Absolutely, she got that, and it's sewn onto her uniform.
Absolutely, but unfortunately, all a little too late for once again again, Uthruk One-Nut, Dylan Moran's character, gets ripped in half after effectively being the one to lead the armies to overthrow Xin'trea. So that was a big surprising moment for me as he's mid-conversation. A comedy actor coming on, making his comedy. Oh, wow, he's just been ripped in half in front of our very eyes. And he also takes it out of Brother Death. Brother Death gets a punch to the face and his eye knocked out of his socket.
I thought he had killed Callum.
Same. Very much same. I was like, oh, that's unceremonious death. I was like, oh no, that was like, I was expecting something like One Nut. One Nut's death was like spectacular. That's how you kill a character. And then just one knock to the face, I was like, oh, that's a bit anticlimactic.
But I was pleased that he was there, sort of, with the multiple roundups at the end. I was pleased that Brother Death was there because I think from the last episode, and even, with this, just that relationship with Meldoff, with knowing there is some history there with Zakir as well, I was like, okay, I'm glad he survived. Even though we've now gone from one nut to one eye. So, I'm glad he survived.
Yes.
But I definitely thought he'd been killed.
Mm-hmm. At least we know that all this wraps into very much of the blood origin of The Witcher. Mm-hmm. This is what this has all been about. Yes, there's more. You could take more. It's the origin of the downfall of the elves and the blood origin of humans in this world and the convergence. And there's a lot of stuff that we get in here. But again, it's called Blood Origins, and it is very much the origin of the bloodline of the Witchers. Mm-hmm. And we get that. We see the gestation of the next generation of the bloodline of elf Witchers. Again, this is not human Witchers. So this does lead me to believe that we may get a second series. Or a continuation, a secondary limited series where it's 500 years now in the future, and it's 500 years before Geralt. Mm-hmm. And these are our bridging kind of ones.
Yeah.
So in between every 2 years, for 2 years for the seasons of The Witcher, we get one of these. Kind of in between. And I think that's actually a nice way of doing it, because you get a big show, middle, small show, big show, small show, and it kind of keeps you ticking, keeps your Witcher
definitely
kind of craving sated.
Yeah, exactly.
But I did like that little reveal at the end that the lark is pregnant with a little egg, if you will. A little bird. Or maybe a crane, School of the Crane. Who knows?
Maybe. Yeah.
No, absolutely.
I do like that Jasker's prediction that of course, Witcher's going to be a badass elf, to begin with, which will really annoy Geralt. I liked that prediction has come true. Of course it was going to be an elf. We knew that because it's in the time of elves, but it's now going down the elven bloodline and will eventually transfer over to humans, because all Witchers in Geralt's timeline are all human. So.
Yeah. For now. But that's all. That's major. My point. That's kind of the main story of y'all. And it was good to see that he is the Witcher. As you said, from the character art, when you look at it, you can kind of guess that he would be the Witcher. But it was still nice that they kept us up to the end. And they gave him a nice kind of storyline. Yeah. It was kind of the birth and the death of the first Witcher.
Yeah. I will say, to your point, I did kind of expect that we'd have that idea of him maybe going off and living on his own as a hermit and going, I can't live anywhere near Ayla because I'm too dangerous the way I am. And I thought we might get a little bit of that. The Witchers are very secluded from the rest of society. So I thought we'd have Fionn kind of starting that off where he has a moment and says, I'm going. But as you say, she plunges the knife into him. So Fionn dead by the end of the episode.
Yeah. And just the one thing, and I'll kind of leave this. It's curious to know when it took place, because in the years of Geralt, Witchers as a species are barren. They can't. They become infertile during the creation of them.
Yes.
And they can't kind of have kids. So the question for this bloodline is, was it that it's their bloodline is strong enough to become Witchers, and on the night in the forest before the experiment took place, is that when the union took place, and that's where the pregnancy came from? Or was it in the cave post kind of creation of Proto-Witcher, and maybe these Proto-Witchers are not infertile like the ancestors in the future.
See, I'm telling you, if only Sindral left behind the book as to how they create them, then we could have had fertile witchers in Geralt's time. You know, it could have been just that.
That's it. I mean, there should have been something from Sindral, you know. I mean, I guess he's a mage, he takes notes, so there could be something somewhere. You know, this magic, they've tried it on his mother, who was dying. So, you know, Zakir is still there. You know, one half is there, and at least for now, that is the most important thing, because her binding power with the kind of roots that come out seem to be the thing that transfers the you know, the consciousness or the entities into the living form. So as long as she knows the old recipe for the elixir, I think. And he does shout it out to the group. They go off collecting herbs, but it takes like a whole evening to prepare. So, I guess we'll see. And I think that's why I'd like to get more of this blood origin.
I know you say we'll see, but we have seen that it's not passed on correctly to the witches because they're doing it really badly for centuries afterwards. Zakir as well, you know, while she does understand the process and does know how to do it, or at least has major involvement in it, she was really reluctant to do this transformation into the beast because of what happened with her mother. So I doubt she's going to ever do another one again. Effectively, this is the creation of the only bloodline is through Ayla. So that's what I think is where we've left it here. But I absolutely would love another story in this universe to tell some more ways this has spread overall. But good stuff. Yeah, really enjoyed Fjal's side of the storyline in this episode. John, how about yourself? What's your big moment from the episode?
It's the downfall of Merwyn. To me, this episode absolutely encapsulated that she was, yes, well read, but the wrong person at the wrong time in the wrong place, with no idea of how to wield the power that she had in terms of the power of royalty. And I just loved the image of her with the crooked crown that she picks up, which looks hilarious on her head as she stumbles onto the throne, to ask, you know, her subjects to remember her, to pass on the stories when they're just like looking at her going, you look rotten. Absolutely. Like, you look terrible. You know, as she bleeds out. But we saw it with Balor in the previous one, where she overthrows him, then brings him back in, and you see the consequences of that decision in this episode to effectively reneging on the agreement that she's made with Skian, and effectively sends her off to be executed with her head on a spike. And I think Skian, you know, I will hunt you for eternity. I mean, she's quite clear. You shouldn't have done that.
Absolutely.
But she does it nonetheless, to the expectation that Fjall, after what she's done, and she explains it to him, would somehow then still want to father, even if he wasn't a Witcher, and transforming into a beast in front of her, that somehow he would be willing to father the children for her lineage, her own bloodline on this throne of the Golden Empire. So, like, she's massively, like, naive, has no idea of the power. I mean, I thought that whole conversation between her telling Fjord, why she had to betray both her own family, but also his family. It was done so well in terms of the awkwardness, and it's almost like she still felt she had a hold over them. I mean, there's part of me, effectively being sold off, for strategic purposes by her brother. I can understand her saying the old ways had to die.
Yeah.
I can see why she thought that nobody saw me. That was her role to her brother, probably to the royal court, was that you will create the alliance with the other royal houses. And I just love the fact he comes back to her and says, well, I saw you, but you betrayed us all effectively by doing what you did. And so it was actually really tragic here with Merwyn. And I kind of liked the tragedy of it. I thought it was just really well done. And certainly then back in her chambers after she's kind of escaped the raging Fjord.
Leaving her guards behind to die once again.
Yeah, just that whole conversation with Ayla.
Absolutely.
As well. I think, ultimately Ayla, again, she's trying to explain herself and so on, basically saying, you're just another boot on the neck. You say the old ways had to die, but ultimately you killed off the old ways and brought them back again because you're doing exactly the same thing. It's the foot on the neck of the people.
Yeah.
It's having to find someone else to beat down. And just the choice that is offered by Ayla with, well, you can keep the knife in and a physician may find you. You might actually get saved.
Yeah.
That was such a good line.
Yeah,
loved it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you have to live with what you've done.
Yeah.
Or you can pull it out and be the coward.
Exactly.
And she pulls it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In front of her, people saying, remember me. The people who've just found out that they have no food, no grain, nothing from the leadership of this society. Absolutely love that scene. I thought it was played really well with Ayla. I loved her line as well about, I've realized you're just a child, who's been given the reins of a warhorse, and don't know how to control it.
Exactly.
Just this idea that everything's just running away from her. She hasn't thought about it at all. She thinks she can just step into the boots of a historical figure just because she's in that position. But just like everybody else, she has no idea what she's doing and comes from a place of privilege. So she feels she should become another historical figure, but she will be forgotten in time. Exactly.
And as Ayla says, as she kind of plunges the knife, it's like, you've changed nothing.
Yes.
You think you've changed everything. You've changed nothing. It is exactly as before. You've just put yourself into that seat.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really good. I just thought this was just so well done. I think in that moment of episode 1 where her brother is effectively giving her no choice, of you will marry this person and effectively that's your, in inverted quotes, your duty. And she doesn't want that. And you go, absolutely get that. I can see why she's done it. And then to be treated as the puppet by Balor. So this whole character is tragic, and it was just really well played out. I thought, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, really good moment. And it's interesting, after having watched, House of the Dragon this year, which is all about, people being married off against their wishes to unite kingdoms. That's pretty much the whole story. So you have someone that has taken that step that you want some of the characters in House of the Dragon to take, cut off someone's head and then you can rise to power, or you on your own and you have your own agency, and you see what happens to this woman that does that. You see what happens to Merwyn, who takes this opportunity and leads her down a path of she's still not a good leader. Well, she still shouldn't be in that position. She has no knowledge of what to do. Effectively, she's about to go out and conquer new worlds to steal their grain to feed her people. Yeah. We learned in the last episode that part of the reason why they don't have enough grain is because they're digging up these monoliths that are supposed to help the land and help growing of the grain to feed the people. So all of the things that she's doing are leading their people to these problems. And she believes the only way she can overcome them is to go out and conquer more lands. Terrible plans from this character.
She didn't play the Game of Thrones very well at all, to be honest.
Not at all. Not at all. I love that moment when she's talking to Fial. The first word she says to him was, after she basically learns that people are coming to kill her, she says to Fial, "Everything you've heard about me is true. Yes, I killed your family and killed my own family." That's not the start of a great new relationship, is it?
No.
And I want you to father my children.
It was never going to work.
No, it really wasn't. It really wasn't. Good stuff. Anything else about Merwyn's downfall or that storyline, John?
You know, as I say, I thought it was a really good kind of wrap up to her, and it just really emphasized that tragic naivety, you know? So yeah, I thought it was really good.
I do wonder, I'll kind of close the prophecy that she talking about, as being the one who kind of breaks the unites the worlds, etc., etc.
You were so close to saying breaks the wheel there, Chris.
Yeah, I was.
I know you were. Which is another one of our fantasy shows, Wheel of Time. Yes.
Who, as the prophecy itself, I'm pretty sure it's about Ciri.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where it's all going to, and that's the now towards the end, which I'm assuming, Derek, you're going to get into as part of the wrap up. Like the connecting here now to the mages from this age to the pillars. Everything is connecting back to our single source Witcher. The true timeline, if we want to, whatever way we want to call it. Yes. The original. And Ciri being that prophesized. So interesting to see that if maybe in the next season we get the two comets, if they start to fly overhead, in the next season, because then that signifies the next age, the next time of the prophecy and stuff like that. And that would be cool, I think. Yeah,
I like that.
But Derek, to wrap us up, what are your top moment for this episode?
I think really just kind of have to wrap up the episode itself. You know, I loved the storyline with Ayla being the voice of the people and how she inspired the lowborn in the city of Xin'trea. I thought that was really, really good. The idea that when she speaks to the people and gives them this empowerment to take back their city, effectively, they start singing the song back to her, the Black Rose, which we've heard before, has traveled all across the continent, inspiring lowborn elves from across the whole of the continent. So I love that this all came back and tied up into this final rallying cry for this group. But I suppose the other big point I want to talk about is the wrap up of the episode itself, how it all closed out, because it kind of kicks off from the beginning of the episode into how it wraps up and how it connects to the future, I suppose. And really it's with Balor and what happens with him. We had called it correctly back in episode 2 that Balor would have to sacrifice his apprentice. We knew that that's what the voice was saying to him, and that is his plan. So mentioned earlier on that the plan of the Queen is to go out and conquer new worlds, but he takes the army with him to the world he's already been to before. His apprentice thinks he's going to sacrifice the army, but no, he sacrifices her and gets his chaos magic, which allows him to banish the army off to some form of hellscape to burn for all eternity, he says. But that is also connected to what we've seen before in The Witcher. Yeah. This is what we've seen is potentially forming the Wild Hunt, which we still don't know much about from the TV show. But we have seen that mask that the captain picks up.
Yes.
The skull mask.
Wild Hunt.
Yes. So we will hopefully, that will be a connector, because you'd expect this is outside of time and space. That's the connection that we've heard here. These monoliths aren't just transporting people between different locations. They're also transferring them through time. We don't know where and when Balor was talking to that voice. Could have been in the future. Could have been in this time of the Wild Hunt. Could have been outside of time altogether. So it was interesting seeing that connection from what Balor did bringing chaos magic as well back to the continent. And then the destruction of the great monolith itself, the main monolith itself, is what leads to this convergence of the spheres, which is another massive moment for the continent. Yeah. He doesn't seem to hold on to the power very long. It's only a couple of minutes, and then destroys the monolith, which has had the knock-on effect of bringing humans into the continent. So no longer is it just elves versus dwarves, and dwarves are on the losing side, and elves versus elves. It's now humans coming in as a new species to this continent. So they will eventually become the ruling class, I guess, as the system goes
that
up.
was it. I was actually... It'd be interesting to... you were saying that the history here is kind of taken from bits and places from the books. It's not like you have with, say, the Game of Thrones, where there's a history of the Targaryens that was done in its entirety. This is kind of, those bits of information that you get through the book. But it's interesting that, in effect, this rebellion by the Seven is successful. Yeah. Mainly because all the key power players are dead. In terms of the different missions that they've had here. And you're just wondering, is it that, who goes into that vacuum? And is that why maybe the man now on their shores was able to sort of get that foothold? Because ultimately, I guess that monstrous mayhem, there has been this vacuum which allows them to get that foothold to build their power base to ultimately then to overthrow elves as the dominant race on the continent. So, it's a victory, but long term, is this the start of that sort of a wilderness period almost for the elves, with no good leader filling in that vacuum?
Well, exactly.
The more questions, some additional questions I have is Minnie Driver's character, who we kind of met in the very first episode. Who is the overall narrator. I posited that maybe she was the ball of energy. And that is leaning more towards what I still think now. I think she's the ball of energy, that she's part of the Wild Hunt. She's the one who gives the Wild Hunt their power, because we've now connected, that is now connected directly into that hellscape. So she's probably close to there, so she's able to she imbues them with power in the future or the past or outside of time, whatever. So I do think she'll also come back. I think that's a definite because we hear her give that information outside of at the very beginning of this series. She talks about how this is to empower the elves on the story that is how they rose up. I'm kind of paraphrasing a lot here, but it's basically about how Seven could take on a kind of an empire and win. I still don't connect that outside, because she also gives all this other details. Like, she's giving a lot more, like, in terms of the birth of the Witcher and the like how mages brought about the conjunction. Like, there's a lot more in there, so I'm wondering if she is that force of chaos. Because that force of chaos then sows more chaos with the elves to make more riots and more war. And that's then allows for her to kind of take on charge with the Wild Hunt and Ciri. And there's a lot more machinations, I think, that they've kind of pulled in that they can play with, if they so choose, in the following seasons.
And I think as well, interestingly, in terms of with the mages, Sindril, but also Avalak here, have both been able to see this power, these monoliths, these kind of, concentrators of this power is over time and space. And Minnie Driver's character is described as a timeless, and can travel space, an entity that can do that, which she says she has no form, in a sense, like the blue sort of ball of power. She can take any form that she needs to. She can be anywhere that she needs to. So actually, if she's not, it's certainly the counterpoint to that other power. You know, if
she could be the god to the devil.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
why we're getting parts of this.
Or she is the devil. Because I think it's been told there to Jaskier right in episode 1. She is a timeless and effectively spaceless entity of some description. And that's what that blue blob is.
Yeah.
And we know chaos is bad. In this fire, chaos, bad.
Yeah.
Not so like, and you got fire, when you condense fire and burn it at such a high ball, it comes blue, i.e. the blue flame kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because again, this could all just be moot. This could be, they pull on some of these threads in season 6, season 5. I'm more of the opinion that this is targeted. This is the Rogue One to the Andor, if you will. Right. I.e., it's setting up some stuff that you're going, okay, we're going to use this now and really enjoy this later on. Probably actually a bad analogy, but you kind of understand where I'm going. Like, this has set up some characters, some pieces, and it's not going to be 100% needed. These are going to be things that they can kind of slowly introduce, like, do a quick recap again in the actual Witcher main, but this is for those of us like Disney Plus and MCU movies. It's that kind of, if you want, you can watch it and find out way more. Otherwise, you'll get the main kind of cinematic movie in The Witcher Prime.
Yeah, and I'd say the same about Bodemeo's animated Witcher prequel. Like, you know, having watched that, it made me appreciate the story that was being told in season 2 of The Witcher. The idea and the concepts were all there in the animated show, but less people would watch that than the main Witcher show. So they'll recap this. They'll recap some of the concepts from it in the future to bring in some of the characters. But I was really surprised not to have the fine point that you guys are talking about being put on it, with the return of Minnie Driver at the end of the episode going, right, Jaskier, there's your story. Make a song out of it. I'm returning as a big blue blob to where I'm going to. Like, I kind of expected that they would do that at the end, that you would have Minnie Driver disappearing into the form we've now seen her in for the last 4 episodes, if it was Minnie Driver. You know, that's what I was kind of hoping for at the end. And for them not to do it, it just felt like, wow, why are we back with Jaskier? And he's now all alone. He's got all his information here. So he has written the story as she was speaking it. And it's inspired him to write his song, which is over the closing credits, which, again, a great touch. I really like that. But the entire story washes away in the rain as he comes back onto the battlefield. So he's lost the actual detail of the story again, but he has the concept that he's turned into this song of the 7, which I thought was a great touch.
Yeah. No, I do. And
at least that's how I read it.
Yeah, no, again, because it started to wash. Like, it's going to be blah, blah, blah. Is the ending, and you're like, oh no, you mean Balor, Balif, Bald. See, actually, all of the editing that Derek has taken out of us actually mispronouncing the names is incorrect because Jaskier got it wrong.
Exactly.
The story is wrong.
Spelled all the words wrong.
We're right.
Yeah.
I think the other interesting sort of final thread here as well is with Avalak the mage. Being now it's a mid-credit scene, which I was kind of surprised at, but I just thought that was cool, and I really enjoyed that because I absolutely remember that scene from the first Witcher episode, and it's also just the fact that as a mage, he's just been sort of portrayed and written as being bumbling, and yet he's able to decipher Sindril's, notes on these monoliths and actually deduce.
Sindril wasn't aware of the time traveling abilities. Yeah.
In the same way, Balor wasn't aware that you could travel through space to different monoliths, which Sindril did. Avalak, that final bit, has realized you can travel through time through them, and I just really enjoyed just that little nugget in the mid credits.
He's also carrying the books as well.
Yes.
As he's travelled through, so hopefully they make their way into into the Witcher world, even the books themselves. But I did notice, obviously, that it messed with the original footage, right? From episode 1 of The Witcher, because he wasn't in that scene. That's not who Ciri was looking at.
No.
But they made it look like her reaction was him arriving, in the scene. So,
yeah.
And it can't have been filmed recently because that is the very young version of Ciri that we see in that scene. So they messed with it a little bit, but that's okay. We've seen that in things like Back to the Future and other movies that have time travel in them. So
I need to watch it though, because I don't know whether the camera turns to show you who she's looking at in the first episode.
I think it was the guards or something.
It was the guards.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we need to go and watch episode 1 of The Witcher again, just that opening sequence.
I might have to actually.
Yeah. And we'll come back and re-record this section if we're completely wrong. Good stuff. I really enjoyed this as the closing out of the episode. You know, I know you referenced the Return of the King endings from Lord of the Rings. Didn't feel like that final end nail in the coffin of this massive story of the world. I loved that it was coming back to visit our characters, saying goodbye to them, giving them the final moments, and then giving some nice connections to where we have been in The Witcher and where we could be going in The Witcher in seasons 3 and 4, which are upcoming. I liked how they did that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Any final notes about the episode? Anything we haven't discussed that you guys want to pull out?
I guess it's a note. It might be more of a question, because we are told that Sindril is dead after the whole binding. But there's nothing around Balor.
There's not, no.
So, initially I assumed, okay, he must, given the surge of energy and so on. However, he is the one that had the chaos magic there.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
So,
and we have had a character who has been filled full of chaos magic, who we thought was dead and returned. So
exactly.
I think it's entirely possible that we will see Lenny Henry back at some point, potentially in the sequel to this series or somewhere else if he's also learned to time travel.
Yeah.
Excellent stuff, yeah.
I do think we're going to get a follow-up, be it not Blood Arrington to Let's Get Originer, or something like, or it will be called something else, but it will be the same cast, because when you got now Michelle Yeoh and these other characters who are slowly going to, I'm pretty sure this is going to be quite big over Christmas.
I hope so.
I really think so, because with Francesca, who plays Meldorf, she's going to be a breakout. And beyond that as well, really, just Sophia Brown, just playing the songs. Mm-hmm. They don't need to wait and see the full 28 days. They're going to know, okay, we have the Witcher property. This is big. This is blown up a bit. Let's just fast track season 2 as another limited series, because I think it is going to be, I think it's going to hopefully do that well.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I hope so. And
I think so.
I guess that takes us to our wrap up of the episode. Overall, what did you think of the 4 episodes of The Witcher Blood Origin? Does it stand up to the books, the games, series 1 and 2, the animated prequel? Where does it kind of land with you guys? John, what do you think?
I think it does. I really enjoyed this episode. I'd give it 4.5 chaotic convergences out of 5.
Nice.
I really enjoyed it. I mean, and I think they've done a really good job of the storytelling. I think it's strong, even though it's only 4 episodes. I think as it goes as a mini series, it just adds layers. And I think they've got really good property here, which, if I'm totally honest, came at it through Chris, because I hadn't played the games, I hadn't read any of the books, and I've enjoyed this world, and this has just developed it further. I love it. I mean, there's really good characters here, whether it's Meldorf, who is just fantastic. There is the tragedy of Merwyn. There's Balor and Avalak, I think, are just really interesting figures here. Fionn, it is, The Witcher, just the whole concept of it, really good. Really enjoyed all these characters. And that's it, you've got Michelle Yeoh there. Fantastic. And yet Sophia Brown, is phenomenally good here. You know, as is Lawrence as well, who plays Fionn. And I just really have enjoyed this. And I love Minnie Driver, so I want her to be that ball of blue energy because I would love to have her back. You know, in some ways, she is that just very guest performer, but I'd love to see her continue in The Witcher, along with Lenny Henry as Balor. So just really enjoyed all this, and even though you know, Brother Death maybe didn't have as much sort of onion layering around him. I think that was the point of it. It was the tongue-in-cheek element. The same as Balor saying, if we don't stop these two in Fionn and the Lark, there'll be a folktale that will inspire that, you know, and that's what you know, there's a really good tongue-in-cheek element here across these series. So yeah, absolutely. Definitely love this. 4.5 chaotic convergences out of 5. And also, I'll put it there, 5 out of 5 for the actual series. I've scored this pretty highly and I've really enjoyed it. And it's the same with the animated series as well. I just wasn't expecting really that much from it. And in the end, it was like, this is really good. And it's really expanded this world in a good way. So yeah. Hats off.
Good stuff. And the fan of The Witcher, Chris, overall, what did you think of The Witcher Blood Origin?
Overall, I loved it. Like, pretty much everything John has said and everything I've said over the last 4 episodes. My complaint, if you want to call it a complaint, is I wanted more. I just wanted to spend a bit more time in this prequel world, and understanding all the reasons why they did it and more. But at the same point, I'm just like, but I could have done with just some more time, everything getting like a couple more minutes to breathe, because it just kind of kept me more. But for what it is a short, sharp shock of prequel magic to the system on a holiday where we have time to, obviously we're recording a bit ahead of time, but we had... Most people will have time to watch this over the Christmas period, kind of one a day for 4 days, and like, it's perfect. It's like Christmas, or you can do a Christmas binge, sitting on the couch on Boxing Stevens' Day, and just kind of really just lying in your comfies, having your leftovers, watching this show for 4 hours. It's the perfect timing. It's the perfect setup. And it just makes me more hyped for the next season of The Witcher. Like the continuation of the story. They didn't have to connect this the way they did. We didn't have to get Yaskin. We didn't have to get the mid-credit scene. We didn't have to get the Wild Hunt connections. Or like they could have just kept it at the origin of The Witcher plus blood magic plus chaos magic. Like, that's all they really had to kind of connect it to. But they went further. And this is what I'm like, you've left some threads that can be pulled either on your own sequel or in the actual main show proper, Witcher. Or in an animated version next. Like, there's many options. And I'm interested to see what they do. The world of The Witcher in the video games is being expanded by CD Projekt Red over the next couple of years. Beyond that as well, there is going to be a whole host of new people coming in with the current next-gen update that went out for, or the current-gen update for The Witcher Wild Hunt Complete Edition that came out recently.
For PS5 and Xbox.
PS5 and Xbox Series X and Series S and PC, obviously. With ray tracing and all the bells and whistles, but there's also brought in some additional story content to kind of expand it. You get the actual... the Geralt's armor from the TV show as well.
Oh, right, very good, very good. There's about 500 hours of gameplay in The Witcher 3, right?
So good.
So how much more do you want it expanded?
So
it looks great.
Really
That's what I'm looking for.
If you want some amazing story, the DLC Blood and Wine is just beautiful. Right. Like, it's some of the best. That was about 15 hours of just DLC content that I was just like, the storyline itself, intrigue is just amazing.
Very good.
Overall, this just really expands it for me. And much like everyone else, I just like, give me more. knowing full well it's this time next year before we get more.
Maybe.
Like, and probably it's like that's when we can expect the next round.
Yeah.
But let's see. But Derek, outside of all what I've said and what John said, what was your total thoughts? How do you wrap up this in comparison to what you've played, what you thought, the series proper, the animated? Tell us.
I really enjoyed this overall. I was a little cold on the first season of Witcher, as we talked about before. I was the one that was least impressed, I think, by at least the first half of the first season, which is always difficult when you go through 4 episodes of a show and don't like it, and then have another 4 to go through. And I was kind of sold on it by the time we got into the second season. I was a bit more sold on The Witcher. So, it always feels like a little bit of an uphill battle when I go into a new Witcher project where I'm going, oh, please be impressed by this. Please make an impressive show. So I'm glad to say Witcher Blood Origin was really enjoyable overall. I have really enjoyed spending time with the characters. I love the very basic setup. It's a simple story in a way of the 7 characters coming together to take on an empire. They set that up in the first episode. They told you what it was all about. I think it paid off very well because that's the story they were telling. And it is a slightly simpler story than I thought they were going to tell as well, because we had the mention of the convergence of spheres and the fact that this is the blood origin of The Witcher. They aired much more on the side of telling that story of how the first Witcher was created, than telling the story of what happened with the convergence of spheres. For me, if there was anything else I wanted out of this show, was a bit more of that. That seemed like, the merging of multiple worlds together with explosions in the sky and a new species coming to the continent. All that stuff sounds like a much bigger story than what we actually got in the show. And it was kind of told in 3 or 4 minutes, and while budget being put fair on screen. Yeah. I thought that was all really cool right at the end of the episode, of the final episode. But the story that we did get, with these characters, I thought was really good. Yeah. I would say it's high up there as a good one to watch. I think you're right, Chris. This is a great one that people will be hopefully sitting around and watching over the holiday period.
Yeah. Yeah. Completely agree.
Good stuff. We're going to hand over to our wonderful fellow Witchers with their thoughts on the series of The Witcher Blood Origin. And again, yet more turkey, yet more ham, and back with yet more feedback on Blood Origin episodes 3 and 4. First up, Dr. Bob Phillips over on Facebook on episode 3 says, the pace felt back on again with this episode. A bit more backstory woven into the wake and a really tremendous Witcher birth story. I did genuinely think Skian had done a Giorgio at the face of the Death Gully, and a good choice of trope, false uniform versus the messier sewer raid I thought they'd pick.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a good trope to steal the uniforms of the opposing army and just walk through the front door, isn't it?
It is. It is really good. And I think that the whole Witcher birth story was great.
Yeah. And again, as I mentioned on the feedback section of the last episode, having this wonderful actress in the role, you can call back to her role as Emperor Giorgio as a villainous role, so you think she may be taking that turn. Effectively.
For sure. Dr. Bob also provided some feedback on episode 4. Mm-hmm. He says, corridor fights, flaming poo pots, the mystic slaughter of BSL using deaf daughters. They missed an opportunity to fade colour in the lips of Mervyn's bleeding out, though. The Lark trying to do a Romanov on the hulky Witcher, but it all going a bit pear-shaped was very fitting. And a good wrap-up for the show. Looks like Chris Jones has used up all his predictive power for 2023, though. And does the Elvish alphabet end with an M, not a Z?
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's why the order of the names were completely all over the place. So go by the Elvish alphabet.
Yes.
Thanks for trying to fix our guesswork, Dr. Bob.
For sure. And maybe Chris Jones's predictive power for 2023 as well as 2022 finished in 2015. Who knows? But he has techno wizardry and AI interfaces all there. He is literally a Terminator.
Chris? No, he's not. If he was mic'd up, he'd say something, but he's not mic'd up yet.
I know. He's just joining us, fellow witches, and has just connected in with this piece of feedback from Dr. Bob Phillips. So I don't think he has any idea what we're talking about.
I don't think it is.
So it's quite good fun.
But thank you, Dr. Bob. We also had some feedback in from Coffee and Vodka on email. His feedback for the final 2 episodes, for episode 3 and 4. He says, greetings, fellow Origin orating defenders. Continuing the 10-part series edited down to just the good bits, our heroes see and solve the problem, creating a new world chock full of new problems. The end. Of more interesting note were the baddies, both of which were refreshingly insecure, their machinations and strengths coming from trying to rise from unfair circumstances foisted upon them from generations of highborn privilege rule, a cautionary tale if ever there was one.
Oh, absolutely.
Speaking of strengths, the dialogue, along with all other aspects of the series, remained high throughout, with nary a dull moment. Finally, the promise of the premise was carried through with the creation of the first Witcher, and a hell of a great rallying song for the currently oppressed races under human rule. Allegory for the silent flora and fauna-based victims in our march towards the 7th extinction. Or am I reading too much into a simple mini-series placed between regular seasons of The Witcher? 4.5 double-dealing ghosts and switched-off Witchers out of 5. Peace and take care. Coffee and Vodka.
Good stuff, Coffee and Vodka. It may well be an allegory to the 7th extinction, I guess, which is rapidly coming down the track.
Let's hope not.
Don't change our ways. Dare I say it?
What a way to end the year. On
Exactly. Happy New Year's Eve, everyone. With that depressing note of finality.
Yes. But at least the show was full of no dull moments and lots of fun to watch.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Coffee Vodka, and thanks to everyone for your feedback for these 2 episodes. We'll be back in the new year, I think, with some more Witcher.
Yes, season 3.
Mm-hmm. The final season featuring Henry Cavill as Geralt.
Exactly.
Looking forward to that. That was your best Henry Cavill impression that you've done so far, Josh.
It was.
That's it for our coverage of The Witcher Blood Origin. Thanks so much for joining us for all 4 episodes of the show. We've got loads more coming up next year on TV Podcast Industries. Remember, we do have our end of year wrap up available now on tvpodcastindustries.com and on all of our feeds for TV Podcast Industries. That's where we look back on what happened in 2022, all 97 or 98 episodes that we've covered, and look forward to the kind of shows and movies we'll be covering in 2023 as well. It's available now. We will also be back in January with our first show. We couldn't be any earlier in January if we tried. The first show starting off next year is Star Wars The Bad Batch Season 2. We'll kick off the first 2 episodes of that from the 4th of January.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. And if you liked everything you heard in 2022 and can't wait to hear more from us in 2023, please don't forget that you can support us by heading over to patreon.com/TV Podcast Industries, where by simply tossing a coin to your fellow Witcher, you can support us for any ongoing monthly amount. But if you just want to do a quick Christmas donation, a Christmas gift, why not head on over to buymeacoffee.com/TVPI, where you can get us an old Irish coffee for our troubles. But also don't forget that you can head on over to tvpodcastindustries.com, where you can share the podcast, like, subscribe, leave us a review, 5-star everywhere and all that, because most importantly, if you share the podcast, you are sharing what, gentlemen?
Sharing the love.
Sharing the love.
Yes, the Christmas tinseled love.
Exactly. Yes.
Wrapped with a bow and everything.
Well, thanks so much for joining us once again. We'll speak to you again next time.
Ta-ra!
Thank you, fellow Witchers, for joining us on this Blood Origin. We'll be back in 2023. But in the meantime, keep watching, keep listening, and keep witching.
Bye.
Bye.